Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 6th episode of Making a Gundam with Owen Wilson. I have some good stuff to talk about today. I have a few stories. As always, I have a notebook with me, a glass of water, and today we have a banana that I'm going to be eating over the course of this episode. I want to thank all 800 people who watched the last episode. And I especially thank my fans. Believe it or not, with all 89 subscribers that I have a total of maybe 6 fans who come for every single episode. So thank you. 2 of which I don't know in real life. So thank you guys. As I said, we have some good things to talk about. Actually, first of all, I'm going to be calling it MagWow because I don't want to say the whole name of Making a Gundam with Owen Wilson. I don't even make a Gundam anymore. I haven't made a Gundam since episode 2. So I think I'm going to give up saying the word Gundam because obviously I'll get sued by Bandai. And you're thinking, oh, and you get less than 1,000 views for every single episode. You're not going to get sued by Bandai because you have Gundam in the name. But I had a Roblox game. It had 5,000 plays in this Roblox game. I made it many, many years ago, maybe 2017. And it was called Mr. Krabs. And it was just about a bunch of pictures of Mr. Krabs, and Paramount themselves took the game down. So I know to be careful in the industry of copyright. That was my most prized possession. I had never made something that made such an impact in people's lives. 5,000 people played that game. And now it's taken down. Because Paramount, Anyways, let's get back to it. Let's get back to the thing. To all the great things. Today we're going to be talking about my work experience. I've had a total of 3.5 jobs. You might be wondering how do you get half a job? And I'll call it 4 jobs. I just remembered about another job. I'll be quick on that one. So my first job was let me take a sip of this water. That was good. My first job was it wasn't that interesting. I worked at a farm, and I worked like 2 shifts every single week for a whole summer. And they gave you the all the money at the end of the summer. And these were like a few hour shifts. They weren't long. They weren't hard. But what I do remember, the only thing I do remember about that job is that after working an entire summer, 2 days a week, every single summer, I remember getting a $20 bill and a $10 bill by the end. That was all I ever made. And the lady who gave me the money was like, come back next summer. And I looked at the $20 bill and the $10 bill, and I just said, maybe. And she looked at me very angrily, as if I was supposed to enjoy those $10 and the $20. Maybe. I could have bought McDonald's for once a day for 3 days with that money. What is there not to love about a good $30? It's mainly just the ratio of how much I work to how much money, Don't work at that place. I won't say what it is, but it definitely wasn't worth it. The second place I worked at was IHOP. Now, this was my half a job because I have a funny story about this one too. I got there on the day, and they gave me a name tag. And then they started training me, and I applied to be the host, the guy who just sits at the front and then brings you to your table. That's all I really do as a host. A few other things, but And I remember they started training me, and they're training me for like 5 hours. And in that time, on my first day working there, all of the employees started yelling at each other, and this seems like a normal thing. If I can give a good piece of advice, if everyone is yelling at each other and they're yelling at each other, the managers and employees, because of certain things, no matter what it is, that might not be the healthiest job to work at. That might not be a good environment. Don't work in an environment like that unless you have to. If you have to, you have to. That was just one interesting thing. And then I remember the other thing being that about a few hours through the shift, I was like, wait, they're training me to be a server, and I didn't apply to be a server. And I was like, wait, I think I'm being trained for the wrong job, because that was my first real job. So I was like, I was kind of confused at first, but then I realized what the deal was. And they're like, oh, I guess you can go home for the rest of the day. I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, we'll call you. We'll call you. And then I went home, and then they never called me. I called them multiple times, and they just kept saying, yeah, we'll call you. We'll call you. They never called me. So I gave up on that job. About a month later, I got a check in the mail. It was $30 also. Wasn't worth it going through the interview and the application process, getting a name tag. I probably still have that name tag somewhere. It's in that drawer actually right there. I have my own name tag for the one day I worked at IHOP. Then my first real job. This was my most interesting job. It was a pizza place called Marco's Pizza. If you've ever had Marco's Pizza, you know not to get Marco's Pizza. It is like the worst pizza place. People say Little Caesars is their least favorite. Marco's Pizza is always at the bottom. It is not. It sucks in every way imaginable. The employees suck. Customer service sucks. The pizza is just bad. It's just bad. There's not really anything good to say about it. I loved one manager. It's more the people that you meet in fast food restaurants. You realize the only thing you like about the job is hating it with everyone else. The only thing I liked about that job was having the ability to also hate it with the rest of the people who worked there. And that's just kind of how it goes. You know, you have people who kind of never got out of the job, and they're kind of stuck there. You have your felons. You know, you have all sorts of people, and you have the teenagers who kind of are just like have a job and they kind of hate working there. Everyone hates working there. It's a fast food restaurant. But I had one manager named Jackie, and I loved her. She was so cool, and I learned a lot from her. She was the only person who really treated me well in that place. God bless Jackie. I love her. I remember about 2 weeks before I quit. Everyone else, all the other managers sucked. They all sucked. They were all angry all the time. All of them were just unhappy, and they wanted to make everyone else unhappy because they're like, 40 years old working at a pizza place, and they're like, I'm unhappy. And then they make everyone else unhappy because they are, you know that type of situation. Toxic relationships, if you will. And there's one guy, I forgot his name, but he was the big boss. He was like the owner of over like 10 stores in Utah. I know that it's a lot. It's a lot to handle. A lot of stress. He was the big man, And well, one time it was just me and him working, and this was 2 weeks before I quit, and we were making pizzas, and it is insane how long people will wait. I know it's my fault. Okay, I know it's the employee's fault when we don't give someone a pizza, but it is absolutely insane how long people will wait for a pizza. I remember multiple days where I would like look at someone. It would be 3 p.m. I look at someone in the front of the restaurant, and they're waiting for their pizza, and I'm making pizzas. I'm just doing my own thing, And then literally like an hour and a half later, I look, and this person is patiently sitting at a table, just like still waiting for a pizza. They haven't said anything yet. And my mom never believed me, but I can remember at least like 3 instances where people waited more than 2 hours for their pizza and didn't say anything, said nothing. And I know it's my fault. I know it's the people who work there. It's just impressive. It's impressive how long people will need their pizza. But to be fair, it's not like we were good at giving refunds either. So me and this guy, we're making pizzas. He's maybe like 40 years old. And I look at the front, and there's like at least 50 people in the front, and they're all very angry. All of their eyebrows are tilted this way, inwards, down. They were angry. And I was like, dude, I gotta talk to these people. Some of these people have been here for like actually 2 hours. And he's like, no, you gotta make these pizzas with me. And I'm like, we have not even said a word to these people for 2 hours. There is no one who's checking up on these people. We gotta check up on these people. We gotta make them happy. I'll be back in like 10 seconds, you know. I'm just gonna say, we're getting the pizza soon. I'll be back. And he just kept saying no. And I was like, dude, I am serious. So these people are like, you know, they're practically throwing tomatoes over the counter. It was like medieval times. It was anarchy. Anarchy. And we kind of got a little bit heated about it. And I was still making my pizzas, but I was like, dude, I'm going over there. I can't stand myself. I can't stand it looking at these people who have been waiting here for so long. They're in distress. They're gonna die from not eating their pizza. They're gonna starve. And he just kept saying no. And I don't really know how it happened. It was kind of it was immature of me. But I said, excuse the language, I said, fuck you. Directly to this guy who was like the boss over like the 5 bosses, like, you know, is me, a boss, and then like 5 bosses over him, and he was the big boss. He was the big guy. And I said, fuck you. And HR tried to fire me. But God bless Jackie, the best manager in the world. She talked to HR. She was like, this is my best employee. You are not firing my best employee. And they're like, sure. And then I quit 2 weeks later. I had to. It was such a toxic environment. Sometimes you just have to swear at your managers. You don't have to. But sometimes you feel like it, and sometimes that urge takes control of you. Either way, I don't regret working there. It was a terrible job. Not the best pay. Terrible environment. But working food is a need. I tell my friends to not work food because working food is bad. It's never fun unless like it's a nice restaurant where you can like really get a better craft. You know, you're really putting the effort and the creativeness into your work, like a chef. You know those guys who like love their job. They cook the food in front of the people. They love their job. If they love their job. If they love their job, they probably love their job. But other than that, fast food sucks. It sucks. And anyone who's worked fast food will probably say, yeah, that's not a good job. But a lot of them will say that they kind of liked it. I kind of liked it. It sucked though. And after that, I worked at a shoe store. And I loved working at... No, I didn't love working at this shoe store. I got fired from the shoe store because I didn't upsell people. What I tell my friends is I was too real. Because what they wanted me to do was upsell everyone who came in. These were all like old people. This was an old person shoe. This wasn't a store. This wasn't like Nikes. It wasn't cool shoes. This was shoes that like help your feet. And you had to learn about feet a lot too. And now I know a lot about feet, actually. I'm not a feet type of guy. But if you have foot problems, you can message me and I can help you. I'm basically what's a doctor that like works on feet? I don't know. But I'm basically him. If you have plantar fasciitis, arthritis, pronation, supination, I know everything about the arches of your feet and the structure. And I can tell you, if you have a job, like if you're a nurse who has this problem, and also does this, I can take those 4 things and I'll be like, I know exactly what shoe to get you. It's a Hoka Bandai 8. And I know every model of every Hoka and every model of every Brooks shoe. I love those shoes now. I don't wear them. I don't own a single pair, but I know about them, and everything about them. But I got fired because I was too real. I never upsold anyone. I didn't get the best sales because I straight up told people, you don't want that shoe. You know, I'd find someone with a foot that, I'm just gonna give like a foot that looks like this. You know, this is a bad looking foot. You don't want your foot looking like this. And then be like, I want this shoe. And I'd say, you don't want that shoe. You don't want that shoe. That shoe is not going to help your foot. And I did that way too much. And therefore I sold no shoes. And sometimes I sold a shoe. Sometimes I'd be like, this because I would be like, look at this shoe. And a lot of Hokas and a lot of Brooks, shoes that are good for your feet do not look cool. Nikes look cool. Vans look cool. But they are not good for your feet. Very, very few Nikes are good for your feet. No Vans are good for your feet. And I'd say, look at this shoe. And they'd be like, that's an ugly shoe. And therefore, I did not sell any shoes. And they fired me. I remember I had these specific sunglasses with me. And I had them in my pocket. And the lady sat me down. My good friend manager, I'm not going to say her name because she fired me. I don't want to dox her, you know. But I realized halfway through the conversation with her, we had just closed up shop. She was talking to me about working there. She was talking to me about how I've been working there and how I'm always fun to work with. That's what she said. She said, it's always fun working with you, Owen, you know. And I'm like, thank you. She's like, well, sometimes it's not fun working with you. That's not how she put it. But you know, that's kind of the situation that was going on. And then when I realized she was firing me, I was like, I started crying. I looked beautiful while I was crying though because of these sexy sunglasses. This is dumb. I put them indoors. Hopefully she didn't realize I was actually crying. She didn't. I was too cool about it. But yeah, I did cry. Then I went to a lake afterwards. And my family was at the lake and I was like, guys, I just got fired. And they were like, that's too bad. Yeah, that was the end of that job. I met a few cool people in that job. It was hard getting to know people at that job. At the pizza place, everyone who works there had like a lot to them. Like either they went to prison or they like had a lot of thoughts about art. You know, I could talk about movies, music. I could talk about anything with them or just their past. You know, every single one of the people who worked there had a DUI. So, you know, it was always interesting. Working at the shoe place was like everyone who worked there. I was like, so what type of music are you into? And they'd just be like, oh, I'm not really into music. And then like, are you into movies? And they're like, oh, I'm not really into movies. Like, do you play any sports? And they're like, I played soccer when I was 5. I was like, okay. Do you you play video games? I'm like, nah, I'm not really into video games. I'm like, well, what do you like to do? And whenever I say, what do you like to do? They're just like, I just hang out. So I didn't get to know anyone who works there because none of them gave any answers. My manager who fired me was into movies. we talked about movies a lot. So you know, it's how it is. Not everyone's into art, you know, and that's okay. That's okay. Now currently I work at a good place called Quick Quack. Quick Quack Car Wash. Now, Quick Quack is the best job ever. And it is the best job I think I'll ever have. I don't think I will have a better job. I do nothing working there. I take out the trash maybe like once a day. I bring in a couple cars into the car wash. I go, look, come in. And that's all you got to do. That's all you have to do. It's the easiest job, and my aunts and uncles and all my family is like, oh, and this is the best job you'll ever have. And I say that because that doesn't make me feel better. I'm not happy about that. Oh, thank God I'm gonna have this job for only a year. And the pay's not bad either. The pay is like I don't know, it's 16 an hour, 15 an hour. 16 if you know Spanish. I don't know Spanish. Maybe I should learn Spanish. It's just the easiest job. Don't tell my manager this, but everyone, I actually told them about these episodes I make, and I said I'm gonna say something really bad about Quick Quack Car Wash, and he said, well then I'm watching the episode. So he might be watching this episode right now. Jordan, if you're watching this, don't fire anyone. But lots of people are stoners everyone is a stoner on this job, and it's so funny because so many people come in high into this job, and you can tell, you can always, you don't even have to, there's no reason not to be high, honestly. You just sit in this room all day, sitting on your phone, talk to one person in an hour, and then you go back into this room and sit on your phone. Why not be high the entire time? Why be sober? I'm not high. Nuh-uh. Never on the clock. Never ever, actually. But that's the beauty of the job. It's an amazing job. I don't want to quit. You know, if I never quit, I could make it. I won't be rich. I'll have a small ass apartment, but I'll go through life, and I'll make it. Honestly, all you need in life is a good computer and just like one of your hobbies. You know, like if I had just a computer and a skateboard for the rest of my life, nothing else, I could make it. I could make it through. If there's nothing else in this room, just a computer and a skateboard, I think that's all I would need. For someone else, for someone else, maybe some music, headphones, and a football. You know, two things. If you're not like really into money, at least. If money isn't your main thing, if money is your main thing, you probably couldn't live like that. But you know, I have other dreams though. I'm not gonna work at Quick Quack forever. If I do, you'll find out with this podcast, with these episodes right here. You'll find out. I'll let you guys know. This is a beautiful song. And my friend Stefan right now is trying to get a job. My friend Slippery Cheeks. Shout out to Slippery Cheeks, dude. That guy's cool. He doesn't need a job. He's got $2 million. He's got a backstory, dude. He has lore. I don't know if he wants me to tell this lore. He said he watched all the episodes today, and I was like, you watched every single one of my YouTube videos. How did you even find my YouTube channel? You don't even have a phone. But whatever. Um, he doesn't need a job right now. I tell him with his $2 million that he got, he should just invest a bit of it into some passive income type of thing. Just learn about business, learn about money. And if you use this $2 million right now to put it into some good investments, I think he could probably never have to work again, honestly. That's $2 million as a 15-year-old, dude. That's crazy. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. My friend Slippery Cheeks and Stefan, well, they're trying to find a job right now. I know a few people are trying to find a job right now, and there is not a single job in this entire city or the cities around us that pays over $10 an hour at all. There's none. Stefan tried working at Arctic Circle, and the dumb thing, if you know Indeed and Indeed.com, it's like a job site. You can look at jobs, it used to be good. And I think every single company realized that if they don't put how much money you get on the job, like how much you get an hour, they realize they get a lot more people to apply to the job for whatever reason. I don't know why. For some reason. So now Stefan's been getting all these interviews. He got an interview at Arctic Circle, and I was like, dude, Arctic Circle is going to be a terrible job, but you should do it anyways because there's no other jobs around. And he got the interview, and then he was like, after the interview, he was like, how much do I get here? And he said like $8 an hour. And I said, do not work that job. And he said, I know not to work that job. And that's just how every job is right now. Every job on Indeed.com, which is like the only place I know how to get a job at, for a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old. That's all I know. They all just say no job. What is the word for how much you get an hour? There has to no pay description. And now none of them tell you how much you get paid until after you've already gotten the interview, which sucks. That sucks. It's dumb. It's terribly dumb. Whoa, OBS says how much CPU I'm using. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Yeah. Jobs are just a crazy thing. If you don't have a job and you want to get a job, I say get a job. Some people are really scared about it. Some people I know who are like 15, 16 are really scared about getting a job. And it is really scary before you get the job. And then like 2 days into your first job, you're like, okay, I get it now. It's overwhelming the first day. Especially if it's a job like being a server at a restaurant. I don't think that's a good first, unless you want a challenge. Being a server, see, having a hard job isn't a bad thing. I'm just lazy, and that's not good for me either. Working at Quick Quack right now, this isn't good for me. It's just teaching me to be lazy. If I kept working at IHOP, maybe I'd be a little bit more unhappy. But I'd have some better work experience. I'd learn how to balance, glasses on one hand. Have a big, one of those big plates with all the glasses on the thing. I did do that, and I spilled it all over a 5-year-old little girl. I went, "Here's your guys' drinks." And then it fell all over this little girl, and her parents just looked at me. And it was really scary because normally when someone makes a mistake, somebody says it's okay. They say, "Oh, it's all right." And I didn't get it all, like I did like all over her head or anything. Like it fell onto the table and then it like dripped, like onto her lap or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I almost cried. And and everyone just looked at me like, Even my manager was just like, go clean it up. And I was like, and then I looked over at the parents, and the parents are just like, I wasn't like just standing there for like 30 seconds, like wondering what do I do? I was in the middle of cleaning up, and I was rushing to get this girl all cleaned up, giving her a bunch of paper towels, and not a single person said it's okay or don't worry about it. Maybe I didn't deserve it, but I've never had an experience where no one said that. Normally somebody says it. If a person spilled some water on me, I'd be a little bit upset. I'd be like, oh, now my fit's all drenched. What do I do about that? But I'd be like, it's all right. Don't worry. It's okay. Or, like something like that. But no, they were just completely silent. It was just silent glares. I've never read The Room, and The Room been so harsh in my life. I'm sorry. That was way too big of a bite of a banana. Okay. So, all in all, if you don't have a job, you should get a job. It's not that hard to get a job. It's sometimes hard to get a job. It's hard for Stefan. If you have a Quick Quack car wash near you, work at that Quick Quack car wash. It is such a good job, unless you want to be responsible. Don't work there. Don't work as a server, unless you're too scared to dump all your glasses all over families of 4. That does make it harder. Yeah. I had a very harsh flashback just barely. That's all my work stories. I didn't really have a lot of other work stories. I still go to Marco's Pizza every once in a while. I see my manager, and it's funny because everyone filters out like every 3 months. All the other employees, they all filter out for some reason. Perhaps the other managers, perhaps, who knows? But one thing's for sure. Jackie, my amazing manager, is always working there. So I come back like once a month, and I get a soda. I'm like, how you been, Jackie? She's like, I'm good. She lives an hour away from this pizza place. I think there's probably a pizza place that's closer to her house. There has to be. All pizza places have pretty good pay, or at least the same pay. So I don't know why she goes all the way over here. There were other cool people. There were amazing. No, there weren't. There were interesting people. There's always interesting people at workplaces. Depends on the workplace. If you noticed, I don't have any guests for this episode. It's because I keep not being able to get guests. I have a few friends who want to be a guest, and one of them, my great man Quago, who will be on the episode soon. He said, I was like, he's gonna be the next guest, and he's on vacation right now, and it's been a week, and I waited forever, and I was like, no more. I'm gonna make an episode, and then we can make an episode together, or until whenever we make an episode together. I'll keep making episodes by myself. But I decided it's been 3 weeks since I made an episode. I might have lost the algorithm by this point. What if I don't get another 800 views on this one? It won't matter, because I know I'll have my two online fans and my 5 other real life fans that I know in real life. And it will be cool. It will be amazing. I didn't take any of this water. I love the jazz. It makes a great environment for this. Anyways, I should stop like stalling. It's just been a pretty short episode. That's okay though. I don't know who suggested this to me. My thoughts on homophobia. Whichever of my friends suggested that. That's a stupid topic to talk. No, it's not a stupid topic to talk about. I don't know why we put it in with the workplaces though. I don't talk about work and homophobia at the same time very often. But my thoughts on homophobia. I'm not a big homophobia type of guy. Believe it or not, I'm not really big on hating gay people. Does that sound homophobic still? I'm not that big on hating. No. Oh no. That's risky. No, I'm not a homophobia type of guy. I'm an anti-homophobia type of guy. So no. And that's all I really have here. Great talk. Wonderful stuff. I just wanted to talk about my work because I have a few funny work stuff, and I don't have many other stories besides that. I have no stories. I've been listening to this guy, Ryan O'Flanagan. He makes podcasts. He's like my favorite comedian, and it's really upsetting because he gets less listens on his podcast compared to mine. He gets like 200 listens. I get a good 400 to 800 views on mine. So that makes me really mad because he is my favorite comedian. I've been watching his videos, listening to him for years. Me and my dad, constantly. And now my podcast is more successful than his, which makes me so angry. That's okay. Listen to it. His podcast is The Laser Show. I love listening to The Laser Show. I was listening to it last night. But he has some crazy stories, you know. He has crazy stories. I don't know what the deal is with me. Maybe I don't go outside a lot, but I don't have that many crazy stories. I mean, and I've talked about all the crazy stories that's happened already in my life. So if I think of anything else, that's why I need guests to ask people about their day. Ask people about how they feel about life, you know? That's really all for today. Short episode, 37 minutes. But I wanted to tell you guys thank you for watching. Hopefully I'm still in that algorithm. Grinding these podcast episodes. I tried to do one a week, but I haven't for 3 weeks because didn't have anything to talk about. If you liked it, if you watched the entire thing, thank you. And subscribe, please. If you didn't watch the entire thing, then you're not listening to me right now. Don't subscribe. I don't want you to. Thank you. And come back for the next episode of Magwao, Making a Gundam with Owen Wilson. Goodbye, everyone.